Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is now teaching us that everything is energy, and that energy is interconnected and interdependent. In essence, that energy is one thing. Now, ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching the truth of oneness for eons, but now science has even caught up. Quantum physics has been around for over 100 years. So this isn't even new science. This is something we should all know, that we are all literally connected. We are all one. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Raise Your Vibration with Jay Campbell. Jay, welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio.
Caroline, it's an honor to be here with you this morning. I'm privileged and humbled to be your gracious guest, and I'm excited about the show.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad to have you. I discovered you and from your podcast with one of my former guests, Jason, and I just love, your whole mission is very much in alignment with my mission. Please share with our listeners who may not be familiar with you. Please share your journey with them.
Yeah, for sure. I've had an amazing life. I'm 50 years old. I'm actually, as I would say, or my spiritual mentors would say, I'm on my third incarnation, wives. This is my third wife, Monica.
Okay.
And she is actually now my spiritual mentor and, was really part of my awakening at the stages that I've been through in my life. But all three of my wives have been amazing women, but I wasn't emotionally qualified, I would call it, at the times that we met to stay in a profound, strong, spiritual, divine masculine, divine feminine relationship. So it took me some searching and some seeking. But Carolyn, I've been a seeker my entire life. I tell people at 6 years of age, I ran out of the back of the Catholic Church and my dad chased me and he said, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" And I said, "I am not going to be a part of that cult." Now I was 6. Okay, so I am a very ancient soul.
I'm laughing, Jay. I just must share this with you. When you said that, and I've shared this with my audience many times, my parents sent me to Catholic school. And at 5, I knew what I was hearing in Catholic school. At 5, I knew it, but I couldn't say it because my father said children are to be seen and not heard. Exactly. So I couldn't do what you did. I couldn't, I would be, but please, yeah.
Well, my dad was just like your dad, but I didn't care. So, I mean, it's funny because even till this day, my dad is still around, bless his soul, but I still, do not, I love and respect my father for who he is, but we have absolutely nothing to see eye to eye. My dad is, fully V'd up. I mean, he's the opposite, right? He's the challenge of the soul, which we can get into in this podcast. But, I've always, like I said, been walking what I would call the seeker's path. And it wasn't until I met my current wife that I really started to embrace the inner path of self-development and work. Now, I've always, even when I was younger, been a very gifted athlete, a gifted student. I have a nearly photographic memory. I've read, I can't even count. I've lost count of the amount of books that I read. I usually read 2 to 3 books a week. It just depends on what's going on in my life right now. I've stopped a little bit of my reading, but just to get to where I am now, so people understand me. I was an athlete in college. I played a little bit professionally as a basketball player overseas in my early 20s. And then when I came back, it was just a very small 6-month cup of coffee, as I call it. When I came back, I moved. I was originally from the East Coast. I'm the oldest of 9 children. I moved to the West Coast to become an actor, right? And I did some modeling. I was in Forrest Gump. I did some stuff. I was around. I did enough to know that the industry itself, Hollywood, is very dark, very, very negative, very parasitic. And, I'm not a part of that. I knew that right away, but obviously it was a lesson for me. And then I proceeded to get into sales because obviously I'm a great communicator. I've been blessed with a, really good, attractive countenance. And, I always took a lot of great care into my physical well-being and stuff like that. So I've always just been a very presentable person in person. So I figured, I'll get into sales, which I did. I had a really good natural acclimation to it. And through it, my late 20s and in almost into my early 30s, I was still playing men's basketball in professional adult leagues at night, and I was kicked in the testicles. And to make a very long story short, I ended up seeing an endocrinologist who was a world-renowned endocrinologist. Now, again, as you know, there are no coincidences, only synchronicities.
Yes.
I met this man, and he put me on therapeutic testosterone right at the age of 30 because I had the testosterone levels through a blood test from being kicked in the testicles of like a 90-year-old man, 88-year-old geriatric. So he's like, look, I can reboot you and make you better. Now, this was back in 1999 when very few people knew anything about therapeutic testosterone other than like bodybuilders and steroid users and stuff like that. So he put me on, and like 8 weeks later, Caroline, I felt so amazing. He was like, okay, well, I can take you off now. And I was like, oh no, bro, you're not taking me off this. Like, this is like life-changing. So from there, at that point, I was, 30 and a half. I became very studious about this, and I started reading and researching and going on PubMed and going on Medline. Now, I did have a background in college of molecular biology. It was a minor. So I was always a nerd into that kind of stuff. So for me, this was like fascinating to find out about this new world, this new thing. Now, if I was to fast forward it to who I've become now,
yes,
I was always an alchemist. I was just exploring and figuring that out. But I basically wrote a book in 2015 that was called the Definitive TRT Manual, and it taught men and even women really, but how to optimize their hormones in the context of health and longevity. It became the #1 selling book on the subject ever. And then subsequently, I wrote 5 other books around that, or actually not really around that, but around optimized health, fasting, using peptides, essentially biohacking before biohacking was even a known term. Okay. Like all the people in the biohacking space, like look at me as an OG, right? Because like I was one of the first guys that was like talking about this, and there wasn't even a term or a niche for it. So I in my material world, through this, I was married 3 times. My first wife and I did very well together financially. We did not have children, but she didn't want to have kids. And I started to kind of want to have kids. So I met someone else while we were together. And I just went to her and I said, look, I've met someone else. This isn't going to work. We were doing very, very well financially. And so I said, don't get an attorney. We'll do this amicably. And we did. And then I, with the woman that I had met we dated for a couple of years, and then we ended up getting married. And I had 2 beautiful daughters from her. They're both now 13 and 11. They'll actually be 14 and 12 very soon in the next couple of months. And that marriage was the beginning of the end for me, from a material, ego, death, physical aspect of existence. At the very end of that relationship, I got divorced. I actually went to jail. I lost my kids. I lost my standing, so to speak, in this material reality, which at that time was everything, but as you know, is nothing. And it was about a year later, from entropy comes creation, I ended up meeting my current and amazing wife, Monica, which was in 2012. The book writing and all of that stuff came after I met Monica. It all started in 2014, and then, it's till to this day. Now, just to add one more element to the story, in 2019, my wife and I, Monica, and our sales director, I'm involved in a lot of different businesses. We own a residential real estate firm in Southern California. We went to Peru, which is like, if you can see the wall behind me, these are all like oil and mural paintings from Peru, from the Sacred Valley. Mm-hmm. And I had such a profound experience there that I told all of them on the way back, this was in the end of July of 2019, that I was going to change everything, that I was not going to become Jay Campbell, the health optimization guy. I was going to become Jay Campbell, the raise your vibration guy. Now, these are my friends, so they're just kind of looking at me like, okay, dude, they're still high as a kite, from coming back from the Sacred Valley. We're on Latin American Airlines, about to fly back from Lima to LA. Mm-hmm. And, they're like, cool, so, but in my mind, Caroline, I was like, this is who I am now. Like, I am going to be this person. So I had to tell my team, because I have the biggest site in the world for the stuff that I do, which is testosterone. right? It's like 20,000 people coming to my site every month. I have a huge email list. I do all this stuff. So I had to let them know that, like, hey man, that dude, he'll still be around, but that's not his focus and his emphasis anymore, right? So if you're not down with the spirituality component, then you need to, ex-nay. So most of my team thought I was insane. They thought I had jumped the shark. I'm going full woo-woo, tinfoil, whatever you want to call it. But I was like, it doesn't matter, because all that matters is this, right? Which is, we have to raise the consciousness of the planet, or it's done.
Yes.
It's done. You and I both know that.
Yes.
Now, again, there are no coincidences, only synchronicities. I actually found this book when I was there, and I keep it with me. So whenever I do a podcast, I jump here. It's an insanely profound story.
Okay.
It was the night that I was the early morning hours of going up to Machu Picchu, which anybody who's gone there knows that no matter how you go there, you have to take a bus.
Okay.
It's hidden. Okay. It's very, very hidden and remote. And it's 5:55, 6 a.m., crack of dawn. You got to be out there to get on the bus and everything from the hotel, like right below the base camp.
Right.
And there was a bookstore that was open, Carolyn, at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
under the mountain.
Right.
And so I walked into the store because we were waiting, and it's cold. Remember, it's cold in the Sacred Valley. You're at like 11,000 feet there. And, everybody wears those like Peru hats that come down over your ears. I forget what they're called, but the light from the sun that was coming into that bookstore was literally shining on this book.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'll tell people not the deep part of the story that I'm about to tell you right now. And so I was like, this is crazy. And my wife is literally texting me, saying, hey, come back. We got to get on the bus. And I'm like leafing through this. And the person, it was a woman that was in the store, was like, that book is calling your name. And I'm like, you think? And she says, I know. She's like, take it. And I was like, okay, well, let me pay for it. And she wouldn't take the money.
Wow.
Okay. So I literally was like, kind of like, I wanted to give her the money, but she was like, no, I'm not taking your money. Just take it. So anyway, I went back and I read the book on the ride up to the top. I mean, it's not a long book. It's 130 pages. I mean, you can see I've highlighted it. It's such a profound book. I tell you that story because in reading that book, going up into Machu Picchu and visiting, and then, climbing and doing the trails and everything around it, it's something opened dormant, what I would call, doppelganger DNA, not turned on, latent DNA circuits. And I just became a different being. I mean, obviously we're all capable of this, but it was this book. And then the air, I would just say, of Machu Picchu and just being in that energy profoundly changed me. And so that's kind of the whole story, the next, since up until this day. And by the way, it's now 2 full years.
Right.
This has been my mission, teaching people why, raise your vibration. But what does that mean?
Right.
Raise consciousness. Why is this important? Why do people have to understand that you can't live in service to self?
Right.
If you live in service to self, you're just going to continually reboot here.
Right. Hello. I'm trying to decide how much I can, because YouTube is after me. They've already taken down four of my videos. So usually what I'll do is maybe put some of this on YouTube, but the link to the whole show to Bitcute. Because because I don't, because now they take down things that are just spiritual. Because I've had 2 shows they take down that was nothing but spirituality, and they took.
By the way, that's more proof of what you said on this show, or we talked about that. Again, they're telling you what they're doing, so more of you will wake up. Yes, wake up. Yes. But it's all good, because even for those that are asleep, I just send them love and light, and it's like it's all good, because it's their soul's choice. It's a free will universe, and that soul is just not ready to wake up. It's all good. It's like a baby not ready to wake up. I mean, what are you gonna do? Beat it up because the baby's sleeping. Nope, it's exactly right. Compassionate eyes, love and light. Send them a love energy vibration, and you will absolutely help them in their path.
Yes, very true. Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. You have a wonderful day, because it's early. You're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. It's later here. But have a wonderful day. This has been fun, and we're going to keep in touch.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity. We'll talk soon. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.